Hello, good morning. Well, it's about 5 past 5 on Friday the 21st of April, and welcome to Poultney Street in Bath. Just left home about a few minutes ago, and I'm just starting a 300km DIY by GPS Audax. It's called Chalk and Cheese, and this particular route I've ridden quite a few times over the years. It's had a few incarnations as well. The route originally was called the Four Valleys 300, and I used to actually organise this as an Audax United Kingdom calendar event from Bath back in the 1990s. Then various car parking issues just meant I had to shelve it really. About 4 or 5 years ago, when I discovered the DIY system, I actually started riding it as a DIY. In fact, it's the first time I ever rode a 300km in the winter actually, so there's a bit of a story to tell then. And then it's a great route, pretty much sums up everything I love about living in this part of the country, so I'll maybe sort of describe some of the places I'm passing by later on. But the old advisory system meant the route was well over 300km, just because of the format, how I had to design it. And it was well over 200 miles. And so when the mandatory system was introduced last year, I was able to sort of tweak it down and get it really close to 300km, about 302 I think, so less than 188 miles, 188.7 I think. So I'm going to be on my way now, do some more updates on the road. Well, it's just gone 7 AM and I've just got to Subway in Devizes, so I'm going to pop in for some brekkie. So I'm just having bacon and cheese rolls in Subway, a large coffee. So a bit about the route. It's an oval in shape, and as it leaves Bath it heads eastwards out to the National Trust village of Laycock, and then through Devizes here, out through the Pewsey Vale, through Pewsey itself, and then soon afterwards it starts heading southeast down towards the outskirts of Winchester, where it does a loop there and then heads back westwards through Salisbury, and after leaving Salisbury it goes on a short stretch of the A30. I like it along there because you go past the chalk army badges at Fovant. You need to see them to really appreciate how impressive they are, so I'll maybe stop there and do a bit of filming. Then you climb over some, it's quite a brutal climb there, it goes up over the chalk downs, and then you drop down into the actual chalk valley which follows the River Chalk, and that takes you up towards Shaftesbury, which you go through, and then it starts heading sort of northwesterly then up through Bruton and Glastonbury, and then soon after Glastonbury at Mere it heads due north and you cross the Mendip. So quite a brutal climb actually at Shipham, but it's so close to home there that sort of, you can tolerate that. And then you drop down off the Mendips before the final loop back eastwards through the Tube Valley to Bath. So maybe stop and do a little chat at some of the focal points, but meanwhile here's a map as usual of the route. So just passed into Hampshire. I'm in the Upper Bourne Valley at the moment with these lovely chalk downs either side of me. Really is a gorgeous bit of Hampshire. Very slightly downhill for a few miles as well, so it always feels quite nice and fast this road. I'm going to be going through St Mary Bourne, Hurstbourne and Tarrant, and then eventually into the Upper Tess Valley, where there's all the watercress beds just north of Winchester. Now in the Upper Tess Valley, I love it here actually. So chalky these rivers. Quite often stop here and just chill out for a few minutes. And there's the other side with my bike. Well, I'm now at the 100km mark, almost exactly 62 miles in 4 hours 36. So about a third of the way. I'm actually at Barton Stacey post office stores. quite like stopping here actually, just for a quick ice cream and a fizzy drink.
Just one cornetto.
It's an amazing view of this field of rape right in front of me. And I'm just about in a few miles to join the A30 very briefly. That's the Winchester to Salisbury road. And to be honest, for an A road it's quite quiet. It's most of the main trunk road traffic is, the through traffic will be on the A303, which is up that way a little bit. So I'm heading that way. Join the A30 for about a mile or so, turn left onto a B road. Quite interesting now. I'll try and take a picture of him maybe. There's a garage with a garage with a thatched roof on, so that's quite always a point of interest for me. Climb up towards the outskirts of Winchester, then just before we get to Winchester you take a right and then start heading along the roads to Salisbury. Probably just before Salisbury I'll sit and have my lunch somewhere. There's a favourite spot, so if I'm hungry round about there I'll do the next bit of film there. Well, I'm now in Kingsomborne in the Test Valley, and I just stopped here actually to give this little corner shop a bit of a nod, to be honest. I alluded to earlier on having a problem on my first ever Winter 300, so I think it was the winter of 2014-15. A friend of mine, Paul, had told me about riding a Winter 300 and sort of inspired me to give it a go myself. So I think it was in early January or maybe late December of that winter. So I sat out in the frost from Bath, punctured before I got to Laycock, mended the puncture in a shop doorway where I got a bit of light. Started to get really cold even though the puncture mended quickly, and luckily I warmed up by riding straight up Bowden Hill. Then soon after my sort of coffee stop at 100 kilometres, had a puncture, mended it, started puncturing again on this road here as I came into Kingsomborne. Stopped a few times to put some air in the tyres. By the time I got here I just knew I had to mend an inner tube, because both my inner tubes, spare inner tubes I'd used, and for some reason the pump just wouldn't pump anything up. And basically the pump was knackered, and I realised then I was sort of getting really cold. I was even leaning into one of these little streams here just to try and get any amount of air in the tyre just so I could locate the puncture, and nothing was working. I suppose after about 20 minutes I just thought I'm going to have to abandon, and I went into the shop just on the off chance they may have some oil for the pump, because the barrel of the pump seemed really sort of seized up. Said, "Oh, we've been watching you, we're just about to come out, would you like to use a pump?" And I thought, that would be brilliant, thinking they're going to bring a car pump down. She bought some WD-40 down and a track pump. Said her husband's a cyclist, so sort of got me back on the road, mended the puncture, mended both my spare inner tubes. Thought, well, at least I don't have to get a taxi into Salisbury, but I will have to abandon at Salisbury, which is about 10-15 miles from here, and get a train home. Then on the road in Salisbury I suddenly realised, well, there's bike shops in Salisbury. I can buy a new pump, I can buy a new tyre, I can buy new inner tubes and just carry on. And that's exactly what happened actually, thanks to these brilliant people at this place. Just coming up to 100 miles to go, so I'm a couple of miles from Salisbury, so I normally stop here just to sort of get my food down, then I can get through Salisbury quite quickly actually. So I've passed through Salisbury, out through Wilton, along 3 or 4 miles of the A30, which is actually not that busy to be honest. So there's a big chalk escarpment up there that I've been riding along parallel to for a few miles. In fact, there's a big road up there, I don't know if you can see it, there's a monster climb coming up there. I'm going to be turning off here in about half a mile, going up that big hill there, over the top, then dropping down the other side into the chalk valley. But there's all these barges here that were carved into that chalk escarpment by troops stationed here during the First World War. Lovely up here, look at this view in front of me. Then going to go along here about a mile or so, drop down the other side before the hills, into Chalk Valley, then head that way along to Shaftesbury. Well, I'm now at the summit of Tinker's Hill. I stopped in Gillingham for a coffee, then I climbed up to this summit. I've just passed under the A303. You can maybe hear it right next to me. I run parallel to it as well, down this hill. This is actually part of the old A303 before they widened it and turned it into a dual carriageway there. So I'm going to go down, drop down here for half a mile, turn right, then drop down into Bruton. After Bruton, take a left at Bruton rather. After that I'll be going through White Champflower, Ditchy, which is quite famous for this horse riding stables. Then through Bortonsborough and a back road into Glastonbury. Then after Glastonbury head out through Mere, and at Mere I'll be doing a right hand turn due north, then heading up to Wedmore. So on my way, just past the 200-kilometre mark as well, so 2/3 of the way, 61 miles to go. So about 12 hours I've been on the road now, and I don't know if you can see that, my Garmin has just clicked down to 49 miles to go. Yeah, so I've said it a few times before in videos and wrote about it in a blog. As the fatigue starts to build up and the distance accumulates, rather than thinking about the distance in numbers getting bigger, I actually set my Garmin so it's counting down. You start seeing the numbers get smaller, you're actually approaching the end of your journey. And you use staging points that, I don't know, 89 miles is a favourite of mine, 49 is another one, less than 50, 29, you get to 19 you're on a real high, because you're normally on familiar roads by then. It's just one of those things, just by altering the frame of reference very, very slightly, can have a massive impact. It really does keep, it works for me anyway. I'd recommend anyone trying it, even if you think it's gibberish, give it a go. You may just find it works. So I'm now coming into Glastonbury, a few miles away, but I'm on this really nice minor road. The road runs parallel over there to the busy Shepton Mallet to Glastonbury road, A371 maybe, but it's quite a busy road. Then there's a horrible drag right at the end. It's not steep, but you normally get cars behind you and you feel pressured to go faster than you're really comfortable with. This way, you run alongside the River Brew, you don't hardly go up a hill. It actually ends up coming out in a housing estate, and as you work your way through the housing estate, you literally come out at the top of the road that drops down into Glastonbury. You literally come out in Glastonbury here. It's a fantastic little route this. So late afternoon, early evening now, beautiful, right next to the River Brew on this fantastic road, heading up to Glastonbury then. Don't think all that gets much better than this for me. I've just avoided a really busy main road, pretty horrible track as well, coming into Glastonbury. So last light, just coming into Cheddar, so explains the second half of the ride title, Chalk and Cheese. Chalk for the Chalk Valley and Cheddar for Cheddar Cheese. Climbing up from Cheddar now, over to Shipham. It's quite a long old drag, this hill. Paul Rainbow gave me a really good tip a couple of years back actually, another bit of a mind trick actually. If you sort of know a hill like this is coming, I mean this is like 10 minutes of solid hard work climbing up a hill, but if you sort of like put that into context of a 15-hour ride, 10 minutes is nothing really, and it helps you sort of deal with the thought of it coming actually. When he told me that I thought I'll try that, and it does, it definitely works actually, so cheers Paul. A little shot looking down from Rington Hill. The row of lights there is the A38 starting to head up the big drag towards Lowesgate Airport. Big field of rape here actually, you can smell it in the evening. The night scent of it. Still very warm, I'm in shorts and short sleeves, not cold yet. Got the windproof on, although I've had that on most of the day actually. The plane coming in, making its final approach. Not sure if that's coming out. literally just about to land. Well, coming towards the end of another order. It's been a really great day. About a quarter of a mile, half mile from my house now. So looking forward to some shower first of all. Pizza, put my route on the computer. Always like looking at that. I guess it's what photographers used to be like when their photographs developed in the fluids. But I always get a thrill from that. So thanks for watching, and till next time.